Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Godsol's Turnbuckle. And it is that time once again for us to do some predictions here on the channel, and it will be for AEW's Full Gear 2024. So far, we have an 8-match card for everything. Obviously, there will be pre-show matches to go along with that in their 0 hour. I think they've had one announced, being the Costco guy versus QT Marshall. So we have an influencer on the pre-show. Should be an intriguing match for that. So we'll see how that one plays out. But we will be focusing on the main card and actually jumping into the main card itself. We will start off with MJF going up against Roderick Strong. This was set up basically in a challenge between for MJF towards Roderick Strong and Adam Cole, where the first, not necessarily the first, but if either one of them could win 3 straight matches over particularly picked opponents from MJF, he would be they would be able to face MJF at the pay-per-view. Roderick Strong ended up doing that while Adam Cole did fail in his third opportunity against Konosuke Takeshita. So it ends up being just Roderick Strong versus MJF. This continues on with the whole thing with the Undisputed Kingdom and the Adam Cole stuff with MJF from back when, Adam Cole got injured, revealed himself as the devil. It's kind of confusing to a certain degree. But they decided to continue on with that storyline, and we'll see where everything kind of goes from there. And MJF did cut a very scathing promo on Roderick Strong on Dynamite this week. So, kind of they kind of amped up the intensity like out of nowhere for this one, for a match where you don't necessarily see MJF losing. By the way, I'm picking MJF to win this match. It'll be I think it'll be a good match, but where they're going with this storyline is it's kind of hard to really, I won't say really hard to tell, but it's kind of cloudy, like with just how they're doing everything at this moment, because they made it seem like Adam Cole wasn't going to do anything with the Undisputed Kingdom when he came back, but then he's doing stuff with them or like being buddy buddy with Roderick Strong. You have this whole Kyle O'Reilly thing going on along with it as well. What role is he really going to be playing in it? Maybe some of that gets cleared up at Full Gear. I don't necessarily know, but for the time being, I'm going with MJF to pick up the victory here. And up next, it is going to be a rematch from Wrestle Dream. It's going to be Jay White going up against Adam Hangman Page. And it is going to be an interesting one to see where everything goes with this. Ever since Jay White came back, Hangman's been kind of going after both Jay White and Juice Robinson for everything that's going on necessarily there. It's kind of his feud going away from Swerve Strickland at this point. So he's kind of gone unhinged towards both Jay White and Juice Robinson at this point in time. Now, Jay White did pick up the victory at Wrestle Dream, and they have been playing a little bit off of everything that happened in New Japan and everything along with that as well. Where Jay White has always had the upper hand on Hangman Adam Page throughout everything. In this particular case, he says he's going to make Hangman Page actually submits. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I do feel like this is going to be a situation where Adam Page ends up picking up the victory here. So that is going to be my prediction for this one. I'm going to go with Hangman Adam Page for this. And up next, we have a fatal 4-way match for the AEW Tag Team titles. It's going to be Private Party versus the Outrunners versus Malachi Black and Brody King going up against the Acclaimed. And honestly, at this point in time, I do feel like this is going to be a very entertaining match, a very entertaining 4-way. But they don't see them necessarily taking those titles off of Private Party so quickly after they did win them from the Young Bucks. I did like their setup for this. They had basically qualifying matches to get into the Fatal 4-Way. Each team had to earn their way into it. There's not necessarily a story building into this for all these teams linked to Private Party at this moment in time, but it should be a good showcase match. And honestly, like I said, I don't see them taking those tag titles off of Private Party so quickly, so my pick will be Private Party. And up next, it will be for the TBS Championship. It will be Mercedes Moné going up against Chris Statlander. Now, they have basically been taking this entire time, or at least ever since Chris Statlander has become mainly the number one contender towards Mercedes Moné here, basically tearing down Camille. At this point in time, Camille's been getting beaten up at every different angle. She's in a sling based off the factor that Chris Statlander did slam that arm into a door after they tried running over Chris Statlander. So they've been kind of teasing this dissension really quickly between Mercedes and Camille. It's kind of baffling how quickly they've gone off and decided to go in this particular direction. They have been playing up the whole aspect of Statlander picks up the victory. Hikaru Shida will be the first one to get a shot at the TBS title. They did have a match between Statlander and Shida on Dynamite, which Statlander did end out winning as well. That led into Mercedes sending Camille into the ring again, even though in a sling and injured, to basically get beaten up by Statlander and Hikaru Shida. And then Mercedes did try to do a backstabber to Chris Statlander, which she basically got countered into I know it's called the Saturday Night Fever for Saturday nights. I forget what they call it for Wednesdays, but it's like her cradle tombstone pile driver for that one. So based off just everything that they've been going with here, I feel like they've been really building up Chris Statlander to pick up the victory on this one. I don't think that's going to really be the case, though. I do think they're going to keep that title on Mercedes Moné for the time being. So that's going to be my pick for this one. It's going to be interesting to see who they decide to take that title off of Mercedes at this point. Is it going to be somebody more up and coming? Would they do a Chris Statlander? I guess they could technically do it on Saturday for this one, but as of right now, my pick is going to be Mercedes Moné. And up next is going to be Swerve Strickland going up against Bobby Lashley. Yes, Bobby Lashley is in AEW. We did get his first match, which was a 2-on-1 handicap match where basically Bobby Lashley destroyed everybody on Dynamite. But ever since coming in, he has been targeting Swerve Strickland. And that's been kind of where they've been going with everything since MVP came in, because he had gone after Prince Nana, saying it's like, oh, we want Swerve to be in our camp. But Swerve has actually chosen to stay with Prince Nana at this point as his manager. And that brought in Shelton Benjamin, and then, of course, it brought in Bobby Lashley. This has been actually this has been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun because it's going to be interesting to see how Bobby Lashley works within the AEW environment and with the people that he'll be working with. Obviously, he's working with a former world champion at this point with Swerve. I do find this to be a very entertaining match, and I have actually kind of liked the build between the two of them as well. There is a rumor going around that Swerve is actually injured and they may not be able to do the match, but based off of everything they've been showing so far, I don't think that's the actual case. So I do feel like you're going to get the full match on this particular show. Now, in terms of everything here, this is Bobby Lashley's first big one-on-one match in AEW. I don't see them actually having him lose that particular match. I know Swerve has been losing some bigger matches since he lost the world title. I don't think that necessarily hurts him in this particular case to lose to somebody like Bobby Lashley. So I am going to go with Bobby Lashley being my pick for this match. And up next, it will be for the TNT Championship. It will be Jack Perry going up against Daniel Garcia. And this has been kind of an intriguing build. They've basically gone to the point that Daniel Garcia kidnapped Jack Perry before the match, like Collision. And then they did some more filming with him and Daddy Magic with what they did, and they aired it on Dynamite as well. And this is kind of all played up ever since everything with John Moxley's crew had come in and everything, and they were playing it off with the Young Bucks a little bit there. And Daniel Garcia had always been getting in Jack Perry's face the entire time. It's like, hey, you guys aren't going to try doing anything, but here we are trying something. So now you do have Daniel Garcia going up against Jack Perry. And I know they just had Jack Perry make kind of a custom TNT title, and let's not get that wrong. They have made custom TNT titles in the past, like with Scorpio Sky, with a different like leather strap and everything like that, and then immediately have them lose it not too long afterwards. I think this is going to be kind of the case here, because you've had Daniel Garcia go around. He's gained his popularity through whether it had been the dance or his time in the inner circle, or just thing, or not the inner circle, but the Jericho Appreciation Society, everything in that sense. He's kind of built up a very big popularity, and they put him in big matches from time to time, only to lose. I think this is gonna be the time that that's not the case, where he actually pulls off the victory in a bigger match. So I am going to go with Daniel Garcia to pick up the victory on this one and take the TNT Championship. And up next, we have Will Ospreay going up against Kyle Fletcher. And this, obviously, this actually has been started being built ever since you had this whole thing between Kyle Fletcher having a discourse of whether or not he wanted to be around Will Ospreay or the Don Callis family. He ended up choosing the Don Callis family by costing Will Ospreay the international title to Konosuke Takeshita, and it's kind of been everything since. Like you've had Kyle Fletcher do this thing where he's like, I want to be nothing like Will Ospreay. He shaves his head, does everything in this particular sense. You've had Will Ospreay call him out as like, are you trying to be your own self, or are you trying to be a wannabe like Will Ospreay type feel as well? And then of course you had the intense brawls to go along with it as well. You've had Mark Davis come back in. It's like you had, Kyle Fletcher's tag team partner come back in, and he's kind of siding with Will Ospreay. They had the All-Star 8-man tag, which Will Ospreay accidentally hit him with the hidden blade, which I feel like is going to end up costing him in this one. I do see Davis actually, sticking with his it's not United Kingdom. It's I forget what it was called in New Japan, but Kyle Fletcher and him and Davis actually, teamed up there. Oh yeah, they called him Aussie Open. They were Aussie Open in New Japan, and I do feel like he's going to team back up with him in this particular case and cost Will Ospreay the match. So I'm gonna go with Kyle Fletcher to pick up the victory here. And in the main event of the night, we have it for the AEW World Championship. It is going to be Jon Moxley going up against Orange Cassidy. And it's kind of interesting with this storyline. You had this whole aspect of Jon Moxley going around saying, it's like, this is not your company anymore. And it felt like it was going to be something a little bit bigger than what it kind of ended out being. Now, it does feel like Jon Moxley is the main head of the group. I don't know if there was going to be somebody that was supposed to be, quote unquote, the real leader that didn't necessarily come in or something like that. So they just pivoted to Jon Moxley for that particular one. And of course, he took the AEW World title from Bryan Danielson to basically end his full-time career. They played this whole thing up with like Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and a few others to go along with that. And you do have Jon Moxley's group, which consists with Claudio Castagnoli, Pac, Wheeler Yuta, with everything there. And of course, Marina Shafir to go along with that. With that particular group, I think they're calling themselves the Death Riders at this point in time, and it's been an intriguing story. And I don't know if this is going to be a thing where they're trying to build, use, what John Moxley is as a main eventer to try to build up more stars to be in that main event role or potentially be there. I do think Orange Cassidy is a good choice for this first opponent because you play off that storyline. Orange Cassidy's been able to beat John Moxley in the past, beat him for a title with the international title as well. So you can kind of play off of that and see where everything goes from there. I don't see them taking that title off of John Moxley quite yet with the story that they've kind of started at this point. I do feel like they're going to go different routes in terms of who will be the person who takes that title off of him, whether it be a Darby Allin or ends up being somebody else to go along with it as well. Darby Allin's kind of in this spot where he's in a crisis of confidence and he can't pick up victories. So he's getting torn down to hopefully be built back up to be able to do this at some point in time. So if you haven't really figured it out yet, my pick for this one is going to be John Moxley because I just don't feel like they're going to stop with this story quite yet. And it'll be interesting to see where they end up going with everything down the road. Now, that is everything for AEW's Full Gear. Like I said, it's an 8-match card right now. In terms of everything of doing a live reaction, I'm not going to be able to do a live reaction on Saturday night because I will be elsewhere for the pay-per-view itself, so I will be doing something else that particular night. But if you did like the video, feel free to like the video, subscribe if you so wish, and share the video as well if you so want to. And we will definitely try to be back for other pay-per-view live reactions. I know I haven't done a live reaction to an AEW show since All In. I do want to do that again down the line here. I don't necessarily know if that happens this year just based upon the pay-per-view schedule, so we'll see how that ends up playing out. But with that being said, I hope you all take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great rest of your day.